Let's start with a simple scenario. Imagine your company rolls out a brand new policy. You get extra vacation days for every year of good performance. Great, right? But here's the question. Does that count for all your past years of hard work, or does the clock only start ticking from today? It's all a question of timing.
Now, take that same question, but raise the stakes way, way higher. We're talking about human liberty. That is exactly the issue that landed in front of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. In this explainer, we're going to break down that landmark case, a decision that literally hinged on the meaning of a single word, prospective. Okay, so let's start with the promise. Back in 2013, a new law was signed, Republic Act 1059-2, and for thousands of inmates, this law was a huge beacon of hope, a real, tangible reward for rehabilitation.
So how exactly did this law work? Well, it dramatically increased something called Good Conduct Time Allowances, or GCTA. Basically, it let prisoners earn more time off their sentences. And it wasn't just for good behavior. It also rewarded inmates for things like studying or teaching. The whole idea was to create a real incentive for people to reform.
Just think about this number for a second. 30. Under this new law, an inmate who's been on good behavior for over 10 years could earn a full 30 days off their sentence for every single month of good behavior. Now, that is not just some abstract number on a page. That's a powerful, powerful motivator for change. But then came the obstacle. See, the law itself was pretty clear, but when the government agencies sat down to write the official rules to put it into practice, what's called the Implementing Rules and Regulations, or IRR, they slipped in one crucial section that changed everything. They added this, Section 4. Just one sentence, but it created the entire conflict. It said that the new, more generous time allowances would only be prospective. So what in the world does that actually mean? Well, it created two totally different timelines. A prospective rule meant the clock for earning these better credits only started when the law was passed. Any good behavior an inmate had shown for years, even decades before that, poof, it just wouldn't count. The inmates, of course, argued the law should be retroactive, meaning it should look backwards and apply to their entire time served. So you can probably guess what happened next. This prospective rule was challenged immediately. Inmates from the new BILIBID prison filed a case, and their argument was simple. They said Section 4 of the IRR was illegal and unconstitutional. And just like that, the stage was set for a major legal showdown. The entire case really boiled down to one single question. What kind of law was this? The inmates argued it was a penal law because it reduced punishment. And if it's penal, that triggers a special rule making it retroactive. But the government said, no, this is just procedural. It's just about creating new systems and committees. They claimed applying it backwards would just be way too complicated. The inmates' entire case was built on this one thing, Article 22 of the Revised Penal Code. It's a fundamental principle in Philippine law, and in simple terms, it says that if a new penal law helps someone who's been convicted, it must apply backwards in time. It's not optional. But hold on. Before the court could even get to that big question, it had to deal with another challenge. The government tried to get the entire case thrown out on a bunch of procedural technicalities. The government basically threw up these 4 roadblocks. They said there was no real controversy yet, that the inmates didn't have the right to sue, that they used the wrong kind of legal paperwork, and that they should have started in a lower court. But the Supreme Court's response, especially to that first point, was incredibly powerful. The court's response was basically, are you kidding me? This wasn't some theoretical problem. With human liberty on the line, the justices just swept aside all those technicalities. They recognized that for people languishing in jail, every single day matters. Justice simply could not wait. Okay, so with all that procedural stuff cleared away, the court could finally get to the heart of the matter. Was this law penal? And should it be applied retroactively? And the court's answer was a resounding yes. Their logic was really straightforward. They said, look, even if the law doesn't create a new crime, its whole purpose and effect is to reduce the time a person spends in prison. And if it diminishes punishment, then guess what? It is a penal law. So once the court established that the law was penal, the conclusion was pretty much inescapable. That rule we talked about, Article 22, it kicked in, not as a suggestion, but as a direct command. The law had to be applied retroactively. The court even invoked this long-standing legal maxim to really drive the point home. And it's a beautiful principle, isn't it?
It means that when the law can be interpreted generously to favor a person, it should be. The spirit of the law should always lean towards compassion.
Okay, so what did all this legal talk actually mean in the real world? Well, the Supreme Court didn't just state a principle and call it a day. It gave very specific, very direct orders to make that principle a reality. And the sheer force of this ruling was just stunning. The court didn't just invalidate that prospective rule, it ordered a complete recomputation of sentences for all eligible inmates, and it mandated the immediate release of anyone who had already served their time under the new calculations. That final order, immediately executory, it left absolutely no room for delay. This set in motion a life-changing review for thousands of people.
On a bigger scale, this decision was a powerful statement about the whole philosophy of justice. It reinforced the idea that the goal of our correctional system isn't just about punishment. It's also about restorative justice, promoting the very rehabilitation that ARIA 1059-2 was designed to encourage in the first place. Ultimately, the court's decision really champions rehabilitation. It makes sure that a law designed to reward good conduct does exactly that, fairly and fully. And it leaves all of us to consider this really crucial question about the very foundation of our justice system.